Just loading ultra SEO friendly WordPress theme, featuring all of the best My Theme Shop features, including our custom options panel, all our shortcodes and widgets, and a pixel perfect design. Schema also includes rich snippets in order to help search engines find your site and rank you higher. It's available on mythemeshop.com, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to get it completely set up. And for this you're going to need a good knowledge of WordPress, and if you don't have that, then no worries, head over to mythemeshop.com/WordPress-101, and here you're going to find a whole library of videos including all of the basics as well as some more advanced tutorials to help you out. So once you purchase the theme, the first thing you want to do is head to the member area at mythemeshop.com/go/member. And here you want to scroll down until you find Schema. This is going to be on your active premium resources. And you just want to press download on theme files. You can save those files to your desktop, and that's going to be the theme files. Next you want to head over to your WordPress dashboard, and here you want to head over to Appearance, just hover over that and click on Themes. I'm going to add a new theme here and then upload a theme. You can now choose the zip file you've just downloaded. So select that one there, press open and then install now. And what WordPress is going to do is upload the file and install it. Once that's done, you're going to see this message here and you can just activate the theme. Straight away, the theme is going to take you to some recommended plugins, and you can take a look through these and install them if you would like. Those that are installed already, you're going to see you've got a notification there. The first thing to do before we get started is going to activate one of the pre-built layouts you'll find on the demo on mythemeshop.com. And we can do this just with one click by heading to Appearance and then Theme Options. We're going to be taking a full look through the theme options in just a moment, but before we do that, if we scroll down and then click on Import and Export, then you're going to see you've got these two options here for the preset layouts you're going to find on the demos on mythemeshop.com. And you can now either import just the theme options or the theme options and the demo content for either of these. And this will set up the theme exactly how it is in the demo. This is really useful if you just want to get everything set up quickly, and you can then tweak it afterwards to get it looking exactly how you want it. I've already got content on my site, so I'm just going to import the theme options here. Just press OK, and then once we do that, we're going to see that has completed, and we now have the options set up as they are on the demo on mythemeshop.com. If we take a look at our site, we're going to see we've got that here. So I'm now going to show you a more in-depth look around the theme options, and we're just going to go through all of these to make sure that you fully understand how to set up your site. If you click on General Settings, then here you're going to find the tab for the settings which are applied for the whole theme. Here you've got things such as your logo, your favicon, your touch icon, and your metro icon. So to add any of these, perhaps my logo here, you can just click Browse, and you can either upload files by clicking Select Files or just dropping any files into this area. Or if you go to your WordPress media library, you can choose any files you've already uploaded, and here I can just select my logo here. If you want to remove the logo, you can do so just by pressing there, and that will revert back to the text. Same for your favicon, your touch and metro icons. You can also add your Twitter username. So here I'm going to add my theme shop team in order to add my Twitter, and also your FeedBurner URL. This will redirect your RSS feed to your FeedBurner RSS feed, which has some additional features such as analytics, and you can find that at feedburner.com. So if you want to set that up, then you can just type your FeedBurner URL in here. So feeds.feedburner.com/mythemeshop for me. And you can also add here any header code that might include things such as your Google Webmaster Tools verification, Bing Webmaster Central, buy, sell, ads, scripts, and Alexa verification, and so on. You can just paste in those codes here for ease of use. And you've also got the same for your footer code here. You might have things such as Google Analytics or Stat Counter here. Next up, you can choose between your pagination. If we have a look at my site, we're going to see currently we have this next and previous options. I can change this to perhaps a numbered or an AX, load more, or infinite scroll. If I have this on load more or infinite scroll, then it's going to use a technology called AX in order to load the rest of the pages and the rest of the content on my site without actually reloading the page. So I'll just show you what that looks like with a load more button. And if we scroll down here, we're going to see we now have a load more posts button. And if we click on that, then extra posts are generated, but we're still on the same page. So it's a really handy way of improving the user experience. We can also disable or enable Air's quick search, and you can do that just by turning this on or off. And if you do that, then you're going to see, if I just save this here, when we do a search on the site, then you're going to have the search field that's going to auto-complete. So if I just search for this post here, we're going to see that the autocomplete happens, and we have the picture as well as the title and date of the post. This is again a really useful way of improving the user experience. Next up, we have the option to show posts on blog pages, and you can choose between showing excerpts and full posts here. You probably want to just keep this on excerpts so that people have to click through to the full post. You can also turn on or off the responsive design. If you have this off, then people accessing your site on mobile or tablet are going to have the full web version, whereas if it's turned on, then there's going to be a specific mobile or tablet version. You can also have right to left language support on, and if you're using the WooCommerce plugin, you can change the total number of products which are shown on the shop page at one go. Once you've completed all of those, you'll want to save your changes, and you're going to see it tells you your settings have now been saved. The next tab then is to look at is the Performance tab, and this tab contains many performance related options which can help speed up your site. First up we have the option for prefetching. Enabling prefetching will, if the user is on the home page, then single posts will load faster, and vice versa. If the user is on a single page, then the home page will load faster. This only works in modern browsers, but it's a great way of speeding up your site. You can turn that on just by pressing this. You can also turn on or off lazy loading, which is delaying the loading of images that are outside the section of the screen where the user is currently viewing until the user scrolls to them. So having this on, then as a user scrolls down, the images that the user comes to are going to load, and this is useful for speeding up your site, because it means that the initial page is going to load much faster, and any additional images can then be loaded in. You can also choose whether to lazy load featured images. You can have that on or off, so you might want to have this one off so that featured images always display, but you could lazy load content images, and you can just do that by pressing these. This would be a really great way of speeding up your site just a little bit. You can add async JavaScript to script tags to improve page download speed. This is a simple one to have on, as well as remove ver parameters from CSS and JavaScript file calls. This may improve speed in some browsers which do not have caching files in their parameters. And again, just turn this on, and that's going to make your site faster. If you're using the WooCommerce plugin, then you can turn on or off loading WooCommerce scripts and styles only on WooCommerce pages. And finally, you might want to use a caching plugin in order to increase your page download speed dramatically. Then we'd recommend using either W3 Total Cache or WP Super Cache, and you can install those just by clicking on those links. As always, make sure you save your changes once you have finished. The next option we have is the styling options, and here you can control the visual appearance of your theme, such as colors, layouts, and patterns. Now the first thing to do is to choose a color scheme. Here you can choose your main color, and you can either type in the color code here and reset that by pressing the default, or you can use this color picker here in order to choose a color. So if I wanted to perhaps have a nice red here, I could select that then, and if I save those changes and then we refresh my site, we're going to see that the main color of my site, the primary color, is now that nice red. We're going to see that throughout the design on the site. You also have the option to change your layout style. This is the default position for the sidebar on your site. You can also customize the position of the sidebar for individual posts on the post editor. You'll find that under posts and then the regular post screen. You can choose between a right sidebar or a left sidebar. Currently I have mine on the right, as you can see. I'm just going to keep it there, but to have it on the left, you would just click on that one there. You also have options for your site background. Here you can choose between a background color, a background pattern, an image, or a gradient. And you also have some preset ones here. To change the color, again, you just need to use this color picker here. You can choose between any of these colors using this color wheel, and also fade those. To reset to default, you can just press that one here. If you want to use an image, then you can choose between any of these preset patterns just by clicking on these. So if I wanted to have a light pattern here, I might have that one, and press save changes, And if we refresh my site, then we're going to see that I've got this nice background pattern going on here. You also have the option to upload an image, and you can choose whether to repeat this, scroll, have it fixed, and also the background position and size. And you also have the option for a gradient. Here you can choose between two colors to go from and to, as well as the direction of the gradient. And you also have the options for your images whether to have a parallax effect on, so that's whether the background scrolls faster than the foreground or vice versa. You have options to set your custom CSS, and here you can enter custom CSS code to further customize your theme. This will override the default CSS used on your site. This is an easy way of adding quick customizations. If you want to make further customizations, we're going to come to that later, and you'll want to use a child theme. Finally, on this section, you have the option to use a lightbox, which is a stylized pop-up that allows your visitors to view larger versions of your images without leaving the current page. You can enable or disable the lightbox here, so having this on is a great way of, again, just adding a little bit extra to the user experience. I'm going to save those changes. And the next option we have is the header, and here you can control the header elements of your site. First up, you can choose between a header design. The default is this logo with the menu underneath. However, you can also have the logo in a single block here. If we save that and have a look at our site, then we're going to see here that changes to a more streamlined look with the logo text on the left hand side and then the menu on the right. We also have that additional submenu, which is now shifted over to the right. This is a nice way of just compacting your design just a little bit. You can choose whether to have a floating navigation menu. Now what this does is, if we have this on and save those changes, then instead of having the menu disappear when we scroll past it, now when we refresh our site, as we scroll, the header menu is going to come with the page. This is a neat way of just ensuring there's always access to your navigation. You can also choose whether to show or hide the primary menu, as well as show or hide your logo. You can have the header social icons on or off just by using this, and if you're off, then you're going to see that option disappears, as these are the options where you can set the social media icons that display in your header. You're going to see currently we have Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube, and you can expand these in order to customize these, add in your URL. So here, for example, I would add in facebook.com/mythemeshop. You can also choose the icon if you were customizing this to a different site. And you can also pick these up and drag them around in order to change the order. To add new header icons, you can press this one, and you can just add in custom social media icons. And you can just choose between any of these here. There's a whole host of social icons for you to choose from. And if you want to get rid of any of these, you just need to press this button here in order to remove that. So you see here we've moved Twitter and Facebook around here. So if I just save those changes and we have a look at our site, then we're going to see that those two have moved around there. Next up is the homepage, and from here you can control the elements of the homepage. First, you can choose whether to have the homepage slider on or off. When this is on, this is going to show recent articles from selected categories, and when this is on, you can click here in order to bring up a list of your categories on your site, and you can just click these in order to add them. And you can also move that cross to remove them, or you can just select all by pressing that. You can choose the number of posts to display on your slider, as well as whether to have a custom slide on your slider. And if you click this, then you can add your custom slides to your slider, which will display instead of posts from your site. And you can just add in titles here, images by clicking browse and either choosing from your media library or uploading, as well as a link if you would like one. You can press OK and then add additional ones here, as well as move these around by dragging and dropping. I'm just going to get rid of these in order to display posts in my slider. I'm just going to save those changes, and if we refresh our site, then we're going to see that on the homepage we've now got this slider showing up, displaying 3 posts from all of our categories, and you can click through any of these in order to get to the posts themselves. If we head back to the homepage, you can now also choose the homepage thumbnail size. This is the featured thumbnail size for your site. By default, this gives you a wide featured thumbnail, but you can have this one on the left hand side to embed the picture next to your post a little more snugly. So if we would just refresh that here, you're going to see we've got those images just displaying on the left hand side now. If we head back to those options here, we can also choose the featured categories in order to select the categories that display on our homepage. And by default, this has the latest posts. We can see here this is done by just selecting latest posts here, and also the number of posts, which for latest post is pulled from settings and then reading, which you'll find here on your dashboard. If you want to change this to a category, you can use this drop down to choose between all of the categories on your site. For example, you can have breaking, you might have here, you might have just 2 posts from that, and then you might have your latest post displaying below that. And you can also just drag these around, add as many as you like, as you're used to by now. So if we just save those changes and have a look, we're now going to see we've got 2 posts from the breaking category, and then below that we've got latest posts as normal. You also have the option to change the homepage post meta info. This is the details that appears next to each of your posts on the homepage. It includes the author name, date, categories and comment count. You can just drag these around in order to customize them, or if you want to disable certain ones, you can just drag that over here in order to disable them. So if I wanted to remove the categories and dates, for example, I would do that, save those changes. If we just take a look, we're going to see that those details have disappeared from the area here where the post meta info displays. As always, you want to make sure you save your changes once you are done. And next up is the footer. Here you're going to control the elements of your footer section. And the first thing you can do is enable or disable the footer. By default this is off, but you can turn this on in order to add additional widget areas to your footer. You can choose between either 3 or 4 widget areas. This will just change the width of them. I'm going to have that on 3. You can change the footer background color. So by default, we can just have this dark gray, very dark gray, but we can just drag these around or choose a different color. I'm just going to leave that with the default. You also have the option for a background pattern and an image. I'm just going to leave that as they are. You also have your copyright text here, and you can just change this text by selecting it here. You can change this link to an affiliate link and earn up to 70% on sales, and you'll find details just by clicking this link. You also have the option to change the background color for your copyright section, just to make sure it doesn't clash with your background. I'm just going to save those changes, and if we take a look at our site now, then we're going to see down the bottom we've got this strip here, but it's got no content in it. That's because in order to add that in, we need to go to Appearance and then Widgets, and then add in widgets. We're going to come back to this later in the video, so look out for that there. Next up, we have Single Post, and from here you can control the appearance and functionality of your single post page. First up, you have the option to customize in which order sections of the page go. You can enable or disable any of these, as well as drag them around in order to customize the page. You might want, for example, to have your author box above your related posts, and you can also just expand this in order to choose the number of related posts, as well as whether these are ordered by categories or tags. You can also choose whether to enable or disable tags, so if I wanted to add these in just before the post content, I would do so just by dragging that in here. If I save those changes and then head over to a post, then we're going to see I've got tags right at the top of the page. But as we scroll down, we're going to see we've got the author box and then related posts displaying below that. Next up is meta info, and again, as with the homepage, you can enable or disable any of these just by dragging and dropping. That includes the author name, date, categories, and comment count. Just drag these around in order to enable or disable or reorder any of these. You also have the option to turn on or off breadcrumbs. These are a great way of making your site a little bit more user-friendly, and they show the categories that the post has come from, as well as a link back to the homepage. Just a neat way of adding a little bit extra to your navigation. You can also choose whether to highlight author comments just by having this on or off, as well as whether choosing to have the date in comments. Again, you can just have this on or off. As always, you'll want to make sure you save your changes once those are done. And next up, we're going to have a look at social buttons. Here you can enable or disable the social sharing buttons in use on single posts. You might have noticed along the left hand side on this post we've got these social buttons scrolling with the page, and that's because we've got floating buttons on here. However, you can also have these above or below your content. I'm just going to select these to have below the content for now. You can also choose whether to have these on or off for pages. I'm just going to keep these off, and it's mainly the post that I'm interested in promoting. You can choose whether to have your Facebook share as well as Facebook like, and Twitter, Google+, and Pinterest on. I might just have Facebook share and then get rid of that, but add in LinkedIn, maybe get rid of Google+ as well. If I save these changes and then take a look at our site, we're going to see that these are moved from floating along to below the post. We're going to see these here. We've got those social buttons there. As always, you'll want to make sure you save your changes, and the next option is ad management. Here you've got options to easily customize and display adverts on your site. You can control everything here without the need for separate plugins. That includes adding a header ad. You can just paste in your AdSense, buy-sell ads or other ad code here in order to show an ad in the header area. And also you've got an option for below post's title. Again, just paste in your ad code here and also below your post content. You also have, for these post options, an option whether to display the ad only after a certain number of days. You might do this in order to show the ads mainly to search engine users and hide them for your regular users. So you can just add in a date, for example 7 here, to display the adverts after 1 week of your post being published, or you can just have this set to 0 in order to disable this feature. It's a nice way of just adding a little bit extra for your regular visitors whilst ensuring that you're able to get revenue out of search engine visitors. You always want to make sure you save your changes. And next up is the sidebars. Now here you have full control over your sidebars. This means you can manage and select additional sidebars for each section of your site, as well as make a custom sidebar on a per post basis in the post editor. To be able to do that under post and then add new or just editing. So here we can create unlimited sidebars and then apply them to each section of our site. You can create a new sidebar just by pressing add new here. And then you can add in a name. For example, if I wanted to have a page sidebar, then I would do that here just by adding a name and an ID. So sidebar page is fine for me here. If we save those changes, then we can now apply the sidebar to different areas. We're going to see if we click on this drop down, then we have either the default sidebar, the custom sidebar we've created, or have no sidebar whatsoever. So for pages, I'm going to add in the page sidebar, but for posts, we might like to have no sidebar whatsoever, and everywhere else we'll leave it as the default. You'll see you have options for all the different types of pages on your site, including options for the WooCommerce plugin if you're using that to sell products on your site. So if we just save those changes, then we're going to see that if we just refresh this post on our site, we're going to see this takes up the full width. Whereas if we go to a page now, then we're going to see we have this custom sidebar, which is different from the homepage sidebar, you'll note. And we can customize all of these under appearance and then widgets. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to come to widgets later on in the video. You can add additional sidebars just by pressing add sidebar again, and you can remove those by pressing delete. You can add as many sidebars as you like in order to get full customization on your site. As always, make sure you save your changes once you are done. The next option is navigation, and you're going to find options here in the menu section. So if you just click on this link, this will take you to the WordPress menu editor. You have options for the different locations on your site. So if you just click on here, you're going to see you have 3 menus available. You've got your primary, which is the very top here, secondary, which is this one below, and then the option for a mobile menu. You can edit any of these just by pressing edit menu and then select the options here, or create a new menu, and you can just drag and drop these, as well as add in extra content on the left hand side. Very easy to use, just drag and drop in order to use that. Next up is typography, and in this tab you can control the fonts used on your site. You can choose between the 17 standard font sets or from the Google Fonts library, which contains over 600 fonts. I'm just going to show you how this works by using the logo in order to customize this. First up, you have a preview here. So we'll just check what this looks like at the moment. We can see we're using the Roboto Slab font with a normal font weight as well as 32 pixel size and this color. And if we click on more, we're going to see the CSS selectors, additional CSS, and a fallback font. You probably won't want to use either of the CSS here, but the rest of the options are very useful, as I will show you now. So you can choose between these fonts in the Google Font Library or the default web-safe fonts just by scrolling through these. Now there are a lot of Google fonts available, so you might want to have a look on the Google Fonts website and then come back to here and just search for the font you want to add. So if I want to add a specific font here, then I can just do a search here and then select that. And we're going to see that the preview also updates. You can also change the font weight if this is available for your fonts. We can make that just a little bit thicker, as well as the font size in pixels and the color. A fallback font is always useful. This will display if the font which you have selected is not available, so I might just go for Georgia here as a fallback. You can then do that exactly the same process for all of these different options where all of the different typographies are displaying on your site. It's the same process for all of these. You can also choose to display additional character sets if you're using in a non-Latin language. You can just tick these in order to load those for fonts where that is available. If we save our changes and then if we take a look at our site, then we're going to see that we've got this thicker font weight as well as this different serif font displaying here. And the rest of those are the same for now, but we could change those if we would like, just using these settings here. The final tab to show you is the Import and Export tab. As we looked at earlier, you can import preset options here, and you can just click on these as I showed you. However, you also have the option here to import and export your theme options. So if we click on this here, this is going to generate code which will export us all of the options we've created here, and you can either copy and paste these into a different installation of your theme and import them using this option here. You can just paste that code in there in order to load that. Or you can save this to a text file in order to create a backup. You also have the option to create a child theme. Child themes are great to use if you want to make additional customizations to any of the code in the Schema theme. This will make sure that your changes are future-proofed against additional updates, so when you update your theme, you're not going to lose any changes. You can create a child theme just by typing in a name for it here, so Schema Child, and then creating child theme just by pressing this button. If you then head to Appearance and then Themes, you'll be able to activate this new child theme, and that will allow you to make the changes without overwriting. As always, you'll want to make sure you save your changes once you're done. And that concludes our look through the theme options. The last thing to show you then is the widgets. Now, if we head to Appearance and then Widgets, this is going to take us to the WordPress widget page. Here you have on the left-hand side all of the available widgets for your site, and on the right-hand side the different widget areas. This includes the default sidebar, any additional sidebars we created for the footer, remember that from earlier, as well as any custom sidebars that you've created. You can add or remove widgets just by dragging and dropping. So for example, if I wanted to add in a post slider, then I would just select this here, drag, and I can just drop it in. This brings up some additional options, and we can either change the title here, add categories, so I can just select these or select individual ones just by using the control button here. I'll select all of those, and we can change the number of posts to show, as well as the navigation type, whether we have bullets or arrows. You can also choose whether to have the post title. I'm just going to leave that off. So that's just how widgets work. You'll find the individual settings are expanded under each, as well as a save button at the bottom. You can close or delete widgets by pressing this button, and then you've also got the option to drag and drop these in order to move them around. So if I wanted to change from my default sidebar, perhaps on the page sidebar have these social icons, and then in the footer have these recent comments, and maybe add an extra search box to the footer, I can do that here. If we now refresh our site, we're going to see that this sidebar has now got less in it, but if we head down to the bottom of the page, then we have these additional feature posts, recent comments, and the search box. If we now view a page, we'll see our custom page sidebar has that follow us button, and to add extra content here, it's just a case of dragging and dropping. So that concludes our look around the Schema theme. As I mentioned, it's incredibly fast loading, ultra SEO friendly WordPress theme. Hopefully with this video you found out how to get it working for your site. If you have any queries, then head over to community.mythemeshop.com, and thank you very much for watching.